I put a tremendous amount of pressure on myself to perform here because I have to. There's no other choice.
It is not for the faint of heart. It's certainly not for everyone. It is extremely cutthroat. It's still been really hard for us. You're kind of like, is it worth it?
But there's been times where we've dealt with clients where it's this misogynistic, like they think she's my secretary style, where I've almost had to email in and say, listen, man, watch your mouth. This is who's running our company and also the COO. Say one more thing and we're going to pull the plug on this. And you've already had deposit. You're not going to get it back. We're not going to do the project.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 155 of the 505 podcast. Today, we got Garrett King, Shortstache in the building for round 2, accompanied by Chelsea Moon, who are the co-founders of Stache House. I mean, this was a blueprint in building an agency, moving to a big city, and crushing it with their goals.
They really peel back the curtain and show you what it actually takes to build an agency, the good and the bad. We all know that Shortstache has the most aesthetic Instagram in the game, but it's not all sunshine and roses. So they really break down how year one of their business went, the good and the bad. And they also talk about and break down how to work with brands at the highest level.
Let's get into it. I'm going to give you the tutorial first, how to do it well,
okay.
And then he'll show you how to not do it well. And then you try
I'm not very good at it.
Try to do the average. Okay, ready? So up. That was bad because I spilled. That's going to be like, it's going to be like a 5.8. Not good. Okay, you go.
Other than that, was pretty good.
Okay, boom.
Get there.
Come on,
Get there.
Chelsea.
Finish it.
Oh, you got it. Oh, did you dent it?
I dented it.
Okay, 4-2. G, what do you got for us in the corner?
All right.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
good.
God.
Oh, Garrett, you started on the table. You started your finger on the table.
You got to pick
You
it
got
up.
to pick it up and then go.
Pick it up? Okay.
Then go.
All right.
Okay, go. False alarm. You dented the shit
Yeah,
out of
did
it.
it on
I
the
can
side.
feel it.
Yeah, I
that was
already
worse
felt
than
it.
Chelsea's. Yeah, that's a 0. That's a 0. Okay, what do you got for me?
Terrible.
Not bad.
Wow, one of your better ones, dude. 7-2. It just didn't have that good crack, you know? Cheers.
No.
Cheers, guys. So good to have you both.
Welcome to Midtown.
Welcome. I know you love this
Yeah,
area.
that place, told you, was hell.
So
It's my New York hell on earth for sure.
a year ago, you two move across the country. You quit your job. What has been the hardest challenge of going from individual creators in different spaces to now going together and starting an agency?
Yeah, I don't honestly know where to begin. I think there's so much, just starting your own business whenever you leave something that's really secure in the first place is hard, let alone like moving. We were also planning a wedding at the same time, starting this together and like figuring out how to begin just a business in general and everything that entails. But for sure, for me, like the security thing was really hard. I had worked at a tech company for 5 years, like constant paycheck, and learning to be freelance technically was super scary.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know that my background was kind of like freelance after I was a designer. And so I was very used to that world. And so I was prepared to support her coming into that. And I think she had no idea what that was going to be like, obviously, but I had a pretty good idea of like, you know, the highs and lows, the busy times, the not so busy times, stuff like that, the waves of seasons in that career. And so, but she handled it well. It was just so much to take on.
Yeah.
Moving. It was way too many factors against us, or I guess just adversity to take on at once, for leaving all our friends. No friends or family over here. Yeah, I had friends and like buddies, but no one super close yet. And so she left all of that, left all her friends. We left community. The season's moving in winter, leaving a job in security, starting something she's very new to, working with your significant other, planning a wedding. I mean, it's all stacked up. Just like, I don't know.
You said hard mode.
Yeah, it was just like, what else could we possibly take on right now?
Well, and it was January. So
Yeah.
like, you know, moving in January, we didn't see anyone until March. No one comes out of their apartments, you know, and the weather's terrible. And
we get there and we're like, it did snow on our second day that we got here. And so it was like, this is really pretty. And then after that, it was like, I think we're done with the winter, but they still had like Christmas decorations up and all that stuff. And it's funny because you're like, well, there's not really anything to look forward to. That's already over. It's like the magic was when we visited to find our place, and then we come and visit and like move and it's raining and like windy, and you're like, it was 75 when we moved in Huntington. So it's just, I don't know, it was a bit of a gut check as soon as we moved here.
I went to school in Wisconsin, and I always loved how like November, December, it's like, oh, it feels like the holidays, there's snow, then you go back home. We live in LA, to be home for the holidays. And like, this is great. And then you go back after winter breaks over and you're like, I don't like the winter, like after New Year's.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But also as far as like the not having the stability, like that's been my journey as a creative, like since I started this whole thing. But Braden, like recently, you also quit your job a year ago.
I know how it goes.
Yes, I feel like you relate to that.
Yeah, and even with like our company, we had one of our biggest months ever in April, but then we haven't been booked yet for May. And so it's just this interesting dynamic of like, you get so high on this like, oh, we have these deals closed, and then we just do these jobs, and then the jobs end, and then you're like, wow, we get to do emails again all month. Like, this is super fun. And what has that been like for you guys out here?
We talk about this all the time. It's luckily we didn't start something fresh per se. Like, that's also why we collectively wanted to do Stache House. It's not like Blink Media or some random name where people are like, what is that? So it was an evolution of Shortstache coming from a me to a we. And so we already had kind of brand equity, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And so it wasn't just this random thing. But that's also twofold, because I try to fight tooth and nail for her, because she's equally part of the business and how it's run and how we make decisions together. And it's not just me and my wife. She's like my secretary or like our whatever. It's like, no, she's equally a business partner and makes all those decisions. And so that's the only part that's tough with having Stache in the name, is because it's just a male dominated industry. And that's something she still gets frustrated about at times, that I have to remember it's just going to take a little bit of time to, build her name in there, because it is a we. Yeah.
I think it's definitely gotten better though. In the beginning, people are reaching out on social.
I was like, I can't hear her.
Sorry, I'm all over the place. People reach out on social. Maybe they have a really interesting job, and we're trying to educate them on why this is a stash house production and not a just short stash production. Also, they want him to shoot and be in it and all of those things, but we work with a crew and things are very highly produced. And so most of our time really is educating. And now, over a year later, I think we've been able to finesse it a bit to where even if someone does reach out for a social, I can hop on a call with them and switch it to like a production. So that's been fun. We've been able to do that a couple times with some partners, but yeah, it just takes time.
We'll get right back to the episode. Hope you've been enjoying it. I just wanted to let you know about the top link in the description, which is a free guide. And if you're a creative looking to work with bigger and better brands and position yourself, this is the guide you got to check out.
We have 5 incredible positioning tips to allow you to work with bigger and better brands. It's free, link down in the description below. Go check it out.
Let's go.
Do you find that you guys are getting a lot of business inbound because of the Shortstache personal brand? And then how do you determine whether to just do a brand deal versus like making it a Stache House production?
Yeah, so we do get a lot of inbound, but we're also in the process of continually having outbound. And so it's twofold. What's nice, and I feel like what we can do differently and have an advantageous spot, is because of Shortstache, that's a whole nother avenue that has a different budget, has a whole other scheme of deliverables, yes or no. But Stache House, it's like, listen, if you guys want to hire us to shoot something for Shortstache, it is a Stache House production. It's going to cost all of this plus the rates of whatever we're going to be posting on Shortstache. And so, and a lot of times we have the benefit to be like, okay, they can't afford to do Shortstache, but now it's going to turn into an ongoing thing for Stache House. And so instead, it's like one or the other. A lot of times it's both, but some people reach out to want to do something Shortstache, and we can then meet with them, and then it turns into an ongoing relationship with Stache House, because they're now educated in what we're doing. And so that it's nice to have both avenues, and it's not just one or the other.
Yeah. And I think it's still something that we welcome and will continue to welcome, because it should be celebrated. Like, Garrett worked almost 10 years on that brand, and it doesn't just go away. It's successful for a reason. He put his heart and soul into it. And if someone is coming in, and sometimes it is only a social project, that's also welcome, because at other times we're like working so hard on these projects and it might be like a little bit easier of a job, and we're like, yeah, let's do that.
Just
sounds great.
It's an easier lift. You might have way more budget than what the project entails. And it's like, it'd be nice to have a few of those a year where you're like, wow, that was way less effort for still maximum results, but like great budget. Whereas a lot of stuff, you might have a really lengthy project, a lot of pre-production, production, and post, and then pay out everybody. I mean, there's just so many logistics,
We're like,
right?
we made no money after that.
And it's like, damn, I just, love that we got that done. Can't wait for it to be over and then on to the next. So it just stuff.
I'd love to know the idea for why you guys decided to start Stache House, because you obviously were crushing it for so long, and you still are with Short Stache, and you were crushing it at your job. And so why the decision to create an agency together, and what do you feel like is your separating factor? Like, what is that unique thing that you guys bring to the marketplace to be able to compete in a city like New York?
I remember this very clearly. Actually, we were on our little balcony in Huntington Beach and just having coffee and chatting about just life and goals and all of that. And I know that Garrett had been in a headspace of wanting to take his career to another level and just like do more. It was feeling a little stagnant maybe, and all of the same types of partners. And then for myself, I was in a place where I was very much ready to leave tech. I am so grateful for the job that I had, but a lot of layoffs had been happening and things were really shifting. And I had been on the marketing side and seen so many of my friends leave the space, and it didn't feel like right to me. I knew that I had to just be a bit more creative, but I had no idea like what that looked like or if I should be consulting. So yeah, we were just sort of like dreaming around what that could be. And Garrett was like, well, what if we did something together? I have like brand marketing partnerships, the operational side. Garrett has literally everything that he can do with photography and filming, and he has a special ability to like bring a crew together. So it's nice because I actually have no idea about that side, and then vice versa. So there are two different strengths to where we see, we're not just a production house. We really are a creative agency. And I think what we bring here is that dynamic of being a husband, wife, like male, female team in New York, I think is already special enough. And then also like driving community events, yes, doing the production, but also brand strategy, web design, like campaign development. There's a whole gambit of things that we do that I think a lot of people also don't know. That's really exciting, and that, I think makes us different.
Yeah, like when we were chatting, I said, I don't want to be just a production house. That's not a slight to the thousands of them that are here in New York, but everyone is so talented and gifted. I know tons right off the Toast Studios, somebody Logan and Blue Hour and all those guys. Just everyone's incredible at what they do. And so it's like, there's got to be something more to give based on the experience that I've had over the last 10 years of a lot of back and forth with clients, where the ideation of the campaign and the project in which they came up with or did lack thereof, and then it's pitched to me to produce, and you're like, who came up with this? When I was in an agency, this would have gotten thrown out in seconds. This wouldn't even made it to the brainstorm table, to the next brainstorm table, to then get even approved for pre-deck stuff. It's like, this is what you guys came up. All the heads of your creative agency came up with this slogan. It's like, that's like I wouldn't even think of this when I was a kid. It's insane. Well, the level of like minimalism and minimal effort agencies put in these days, and think it's so avant-garde and brilliant that they give it to you. And you're like, it's just so broad that I got so tired of reworking what it meant to connect with me and my audience. And I'm like, okay, it's like for me, and then there's also leniency in an agency too, that I've worked with. So I'll kind of wrap this up, but I could go on and forever. But like Hyundai, they had to come to me for a project, and it was called It's Your Journey. And I thought, that's very stereotypical. They also have confines in which they have to kind of stay within the driving and that whole element. Like everybody has their parameters, you have to stay with them. And I said, that doesn't really do anything for me, because everyone's going to choose a road trip. Everyone's going to talk about driving. I don't care. Like, I don't care if you're in a Lamborghini or in an old beat up Dots. It's just all the same stuff. So I said, I'd rather have this be about a mental journey and the stuff that I'm trying to figure out in my personal life right now and how I can connect that with my audience. And maybe that is a road trip to get out of the city, to get somewhere where I can start to figure out a lot of the things that I want to do with my life and get away from, different distractions or things that are eating at me, or if it's just time to do post-production, it's just time for me to reset. And so they believed in like that idea and obviously I've worked with them for so many years. They also trust my process and like what I feel like is going to resonate. And it did with a lot of people, because it's not just like, I'm gonna just take a drive. It's not enough. And so anyway, all that to say is I've always had a lot of issues with specific agencies coming up with these ideas where I'm like, you know what? I have enough experience over the years of having to like recraft what this narrative is. And to Chelsea's point, it's like we can come up with specific campaign, ideation and do this for specific clients. And if we can stop the buck right there and be able to correct something or come up with a better idea or collaborate on something, we can then go handle production. And so if you can get slightly in the mix or come up with that idea to then blow that out and then have it on Shortstache if they want to do that and have a social push or just a push on their socials or commercial, I think that's where we find the sweet spot, because there is a need and there's a really big chunk of wasted energy and space in these big agencies. So we don't want to compete with those. We want to just take a chunk of budget from all of those, because we're more premium boutique. We don't ever want to be bigger than 10 people.
Yeah.
We want to be very small and nimble and understand everyone's strengths within our agency.
Sorry to interrupt again, but if you're a creative who's struggling on a sales call, we got something for you. We have a free one-page PDF that walks you through the 6 questions you should always ask on a discovery call.
Check it out. Second link. Let's get back into it. It's so interesting because I feel that with the bigger agencies that you work with, they work really slow. And if something gets pushed out, like it's almost like one massive game of telephone. This is what I've realized. And it's super frustrating because you're like, can you just call me and tell me what you want us to change, instead of us sending 17 emails out to your side and then you send 8 back and then the feedback's jumbled.
And that person got fired.
That person got fired last week.
Oh, your email bounced.
Yeah.
Hey, so-and-so's going to take over. It's like,
yeah, exactly. What has been a brutal reality of starting a business that Instagram would never show you?
Because I feel like you are also the king of having the most aesthetic Instagram in the game. And you really are good at like making it look
what's
like nothing's wrong.
What's something that like no one would see about starting a business?
Oh, there's so many directions to take that.
I think one, it's locational. So you can kind of, do you want to talk about just New York in general doing that? I think there's a whole like conversation of just like finance part of that. But then there's a whole other like, I don't know how we piece that up.
Yeah, I mean, I think for social, obviously, we're sharing our wins. We're excited to show like what's happening at Stache House and in our lives. And when we're sharing something, like we're purposefully trying to be positive. There's also that like form of escapism on social too, where it's like, yeah, this is our place to like be positive and like push great messaging out and inspire people. But then at the same time, it's really, really hard in general. It doesn't matter if it's an agency you're starting anywhere, but specifically like a business in New York, everything that goes into like starting an LLC, the banking system. I can list so many issues that happened from day one, even from when we got our bank account and then they wrote Garrett's name wrong on all of our cards. So then we had to,
you have one job and you physically have my ID to spell my name right.
Apply for new stuff. It's little stuff that is like every single day and you feel constantly beat down. It's true. Like it is not for the faint of heart. It's certainly not for everyone. It is extremely cutthroat. I think all of the things that you would think about living, being, and having a business in New York is absolutely true. So that has been just like, Garrett and I have the same type of personality whenever we're trying to take on things. And I think it's still been really hard for us too, because you're kind of like, is it worth it? And we ask ourselves that all the time.
It goes a lot deeper than just like what people don't see. It's stuff that you working with husband and wife. moving here and having an office in your home and not having it separate, her leaving her job, not having a separate place to go, her now diving into my like side of the business and then figuring out her side. It's constantly being around each other. It's learning how to argue in a healthy way. It's learning how to problem solve in a healthy way while having the stresses of a new life here, the short days, the financial stuff. There's a million factors. And I felt personally on myself, and she has a different feeling. I felt, and I still feel this way. I put in a tremendous amount of pressure on myself to perform here because I have to. There's no other choice. We didn't start this business with a fund, seed money, nothing. It started with spending so much money to get out here and make it happen. And then now what? No one's going to give us anything. No, we're going to have to take everything. We're going to have to go and get all of it. And it's like, it's up to me to leverage anything I possibly can to make this happen, because she's coming into my world, and to share our world together, there's going to be a learning curve for her for a while. And then she's going to teach me things that she's learned and help push me in the right direction. And I think just understanding that side has been very difficult, because then she has the stresses on her side to want to up the stakes with what she's doing constantly, and feels the pressure to bring in money on her side. So I think it's just like that's a huge multi-layered kind of like struggle, but we've learned to do it in such a positive and healthy way.
Have there been any boundaries that you guys have set to be able to separate work and personal life?
Nope.
Cool.
Feel that.
I tried to communicate them, but they're not
Nope. I like live and breathe grinding this last like 2 years. It just doesn't stop for me. And a lot of people might think that I just would never give a job to somebody that I can't do myself. I'm either going to take the camera and film it myself, or do this, or run audio, whatever I need to do with our teams and crews. Like, I'm not too good to do any of that stuff. And then I'm going to be hammering on the back end and the post-production and figuring those things out. And so before I can start delegating and elevating the standard in which I need it done. And I'm so passionate about stuff, and Chelsea's such an incredible partner and wife that we both yearn for the separation of work and life, and still have our romance and our relationship. And let's just have our time and step away from work and these things. But we're slowly but surely, I think, getting there.
Yeah. And I think too, sometimes like when you are building something, we both feel like we have to feel this way in order for it to be worth it. Like, the rewards that we receive are so great, and we are really, really thankful for them, but we feel like we receive them because of the grind that we have. Like, we really feel like we're truly working with our heart and soul on what we're doing, and it feels, real and authentic. Like, there's no boundaries really, but we make sure that we're at least sprinkling in like these little moments of relief, whether it is just like going out with friends for a drink, or having a fun little community event where we can breathe and like actually be with people. So you just have to sprinkle those in, because it's going to be chaotic. Like, I work from the morning I wake up to the morning I go to sleep, and Garrett does too. And then, God, hopefully we can get a workout in right here. And, you just have to sprinkle it in and do it.
I ask because I just think about, like, at the end of the day, if I'm having like dinner with my girlfriend or something, it's nice to be like, how is your day? Like, how's work going and stuff? And it's like, you guys kind of know exactly, if you guys are working together, it's like, you know exactly what is going on all day, every day with each other. So I was just wondering that, just like, it's interesting. Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, we try to play games at dinner. Chelsea's an incredible chef and cook, and that's part of her passion. That's something we're going to try to work on this year, as she wants to start kind of just creating moments and narratives and stories and content around like a lot more of her passions, is more of like an outlet.
I'll be tuned into that. I love cooking content on social. It's my favorite thing to watch.
Well, for me, I'm like, well, who else is I'm gonna have to film all of this shit.
More work.
And so it's like, exactly. Like, sometimes I'm the king of like thinking of the worst part of it, right? Like all the work. She's like, can it just be a happy thing?
A fun thing.
And I'm like, unless you learn how to do all that yourself, like, it's gonna be me.
Like, I will.
Yeah, she's like, I can. It's like, please, that would be amazing. So anyway, we're gonna figure out a way, because she is way more talented than she gives credit for, and she also is the backbone of both our relationship and just our our business. She's always cooking meals. I need to step up and start to give her relief for that. She's always making sure that if I'm working late hours that I'm fed and these things, and it sounds like bare minimum, but she's home cooking things. She's making sure that I like feel loved and supported, our dogs, all this stuff. And though at times I feel like all I'm doing is working, and I have to take a step back and to make sure that I'm also equally giving into our marriage and making sure that she is supported and comforted in those things. And so again, those are the boundaries that we're trying to find and cultivate and keep sacred, because at dinner and stuff, we have a rule to try to not use our phones, even if it's to show something funny or to play a card game of like a questions game where it's like deeper level stuff, and allow us to just get away from what's constantly already on our minds and just like talk about future stuff and fun stuff. And even if it's in the hectic, stressful moments, you gotta carve out and compartmentalize safety moments to just think about the good stuff, because we are very blessed and it's been an incredible journey. But some days it's just like, damn. Yeah. It's like, I wonder, because we're in a zone of what we do in the shadows, and we're in the trenches still. People don't see that. Just because I've had a successful career or what appears to be online, I feel very blessed and I have a lot of different avenues, and so does she. We're still in the trenches. Nothing's been given. I feel like I don't have anything to complain about because I get given a lot of opportunities or people reach out, but at the same time, it's up to me to capitalize and make sure I can turn these into something. And so I'm still very much in that zone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also different because even with like our different backgrounds, just for myself, even I've always only been in startup culture, where the first like 2 years of a business is just like dumpster fire always, and it's just insane. And you're wearing all of the hats. And if you're not stressed, then something is going wrong. And so for me, sometimes it's like the worst day and just like, well, it is what it is.
She looks at me and she's like, I remember it, probably every week, but earlier on, she's basically like, we're sitting at dinner and she's like, basically like, I didn't sign up for this shit. Like I already did the startup thing for 4 years. I thought this is going to kind of be like, just like, I'm ready to just like be rich. Yeah. Just like you can do whatever you need to do and have to do. Cause I'm kind of done with I didn't think I was going to have to be doing all this stuff. So figure it out, because it'll be a lot better when you do.
That's so funny.
Now, is there, maybe on a slightly more positive note, is there a system or a workflow that you guys have been able to implement into your business that has been a game changer for you guys?
Well, yes, I would say there's actually quite a few things. And I feel like it's been fun to get in this rhythm together. I am an extremely like structured person who lives by her Google Calendar.
Are you type A, would you say?
Yes.
Gee, are you type A or type B?
I don't think so. I'm type C. I don't know.
Like a mix of the two.
Yeah, I'm a mix
of the two
because you have to be structured. And so I'm very structured with a lot of the things that I guess are important to me and like my process. But then she's overall very structured with just everything. So it's been helpful.
Yeah. And like putting in just like finding our groove and rhythm for the day and time blocking and stuff like that does help. It's such a little funny thing, but
it helps. It helps. I implemented it recently, and like some weeks are better than others, but when you do really take the time to like look at your calendar, look what you have to do and what time you have available to accomplish other things, like time blocking is huge.
Yeah.
She teases me. She's like, you just need to write it out, like your workouts and all that stuff. And I still need to get better at that. But for me, I'm like, well, I'll write one block. Here it is. I'm going to be at my computer from 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. That is the block.
That's the block.
Because it has to get done. So that doesn't help me if I just write that out. And she'll be like, damn, that looks like a nightmare. That doesn't look fun at all. But to her point, she's like, no, you structure these things, work blocks, then take a time for yourself. We have time to eat. Let's take a walk with the dogs. That stuff's obviously very important and been very healthy. So she's my healthy reminder. It's like you need to get away from it for a bit.
Is there anything else in the like a Frame.io or something that you guys use for your clients that's been helpful, or something maybe to plan your shoots that you
Milanote.
Oh, Milanote. Yeah.
I
love that.
I'll sometimes use Frame.io, just depending. But for the most part, like just all, I can't stand Dropbox.
I hate Dropbox
Yeah.
too.
Jesus, people always
Oh
like
my
Dropbox
God, I
stuff, and it's like you need
hate
to
it.
sign up for an account to even like view this
Yeah,
stuff,
it's
and like, oh, you're about to
terrible.
run out of storage. It's like I'm not the one that uploaded and sent the link. Like, just give me the access. I didn't do. I work for Google Drives. There are a lot of stuff we have.
Google Suite's the best.
Yes, exactly. So we're mainly just Google through and through, but I think
Yeah, but we use
Monday. and-
Monday for everything where we keep like our quarterly goals, budgets, all of that. And I like that you can drop large files there and share them.
We're Excel with our production benchmark.
Figma a lot
Stuff.
we're
Yeah,
still
Figma,
working in.
quite a
So
bit.
yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
Also, we do very, very different things. So still at the end of the day. So like back to your point on how you connect with your girlfriend at dinner, like there's so much that we do talk about because it's like we don't know how to do the same, or we don't work on the same things all day.
Sometimes I'm half the time I'm like, where the hell is this document like in our Google Sheets? And she's like, Jesus, it's right. It's in this tab. Then he'll go here, and then it's going to be linked in here. And I'm like, I just don't know where any of that stuff is. And so she always laughs at me because it would be no different than if she was like in Premiere or DaVinci. And I'm like, it's just this tab right there. And it's so funny because I'm just like, I don't know what this Google Sheets, like, where is all this stuff?
Is there something that you did earlier on, like month 1 through 4, that you would not recommend doing again? Something that you might have changed.
Absolutely.
Tell me something.
We were just talking about this because I had a panel event, and it was with like all women who were hoping to leave their careers, and like maybe they were thinking about taking the leap into like contracting, freelancing. And a lot of people have questions around the financial part. And I'm going to be like real with people that we did not financially plan correctly, I guess, or in a way that I feel like would have added security. I think it's totally fine to say, okay, I'm going to be at this job for the next couple months and save and then plan to leave. We just straight up and left, came here.
I knew what was coming, unfortunately, and knew that but I had hope.
Yeah.
She didn't really know the storm that was
I
coming.
knew nothing. Yeah.
Because I didn't know that we would be moving to New York per se. I had only been here like maybe twice. She'd been here so many times, and she's like, well, we should move. And I remember when we were looking for places, like, it is going to be insanely expensive to move. Like a little bit of rent there, a lot of rent in California, half, and then moving here is like basically a first month's deposit of rent. It's like double that, and then this, and then flights. I mean, having to bring the dogs and trailer the car and just move everything. I was like, this is going to be insanely expensive. So whatever nest egg I had is going to be gone, and for her as well. And I think I just knew. I only say I knew some of it was coming only because January, February inherently can be somewhat slow in our industry. Where in tech, she said January, February is very busy. So she thought there might be some overlap in there. And I had high hopes too, to then realize like they just don't coincide unless you're in that industry. So it was a lot of figuring out as well, but she's exactly right. We're both like, well, we also sink or swim, and we're not going to sink. So you just figure it out.
Yeah. Like obviously in retrospect, you always want to financially plan better, but it is what it is. And there were some really tough conversations and moments that felt scary. And then honestly, it brought us closer because we had not even really been together for that long before we got engaged. And then we were planning this wedding. And I feel like there's been so much where we've still been like learning about each other, and you need to like fully trust that person. And yeah, we were put through it to like every test you can possibly give us. Like we were going through it as a couple and as business partners. And I'm happy to say that we came out stronger at the end of it. So
What would you say are some of those biggest things you guys learned about each other?
Boy, a lot of patience and grace, and like you really are who you are under like moments of insane amount of pressure and stress. And I think for us, just figuring out financial footwork to set us up to be in better places and do this and be smarter with this and still have fun here, but then also try to save here, and just having healthy arguments around your piece, like figuring out how I'm going to function and work on my side of stuff while still holding on to these moments with her. And I think,
Yeah, and I think when you see, it sounds so cheesy, so not to get too corny, but you really do want to love somebody at their worst. And, our wedding was coming up and we were kind of our lowest selves, truthfully, and like feeling all of those stresses, feeling all of those pressures, lashing out, like being quick to anger and like being frustrated, and then still being able to like see that person and only love them more, like love them harder and want to work through it together and like choose that person in those really hard times. Like that is a true testament to any friendship, romance, business partner. And we wouldn't have seen that before, honestly, because everything was still like the honeymoon phase before. Everything is perfect. We're going on trips. We had just gotten back from Italy. Like life is so good. And then, but to love someone that much at that stage is important.
I think just we paid for the wedding ourselves and just did everything ourselves, the planning and everything. Chelsea staying up late nights doing specific stuff. And even right now, she knows my workload is to finish up all this stuff, delegating some editing, doing this, and this, while she's trying to take care of like moving things and figuring out different companies and blah, 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 and the logistics and signing stuff and all the other parts of life. It's like I'm going to hold on to some business while she's also trying to do business and life stuff. So I think it's just we're just constantly like, to be honest though, it's like there's nothing that her and I can't do together and problem solve with. And so we're an absolute force to be reckoned with when it comes to problem solving. There is not anything that can get in either of our way, especially, I won't knock on wood, but I feel like, God, at some point, it's like we're just going to be bulletproof in the future to handle anything.
Yeah, all that adversity that comes your way.
Yeah.
I feel like the first 2 months, because me and my business partner both quit our jobs, stable job. He was in an agency. I was at the Lakers. And then that first month learning how to actually work together, because we'd kind of worked on the business for that whole year we were at our jobs, but it was very different because it was like our 5 to 9, we were bitching about our jobs the whole day. Like, fuck that. I don't want to be there anymore. Like it was like this high of like, stick it to the man. Yeah. Let's go do this thing. And then when you quit and you're like, oh shit, we got like, now we have 10 hours and there however many hours now in delegating our time and learning how to work together. And I want to work out at this time. And it's like, trying to figure out all these different things. And it's a similar relationship to you two, where I can't do what he does and he can't do what I do. And so my first ever business that ultimately failed, we did the same shit. So it was fucking pointless. We have 2 guys who do video. It's like, this doesn't make any sense, dude. We do the same shit. So trying to like learn how to work together. So I know how that goes.
And there's also something beautiful, not in the moment, after you get through and you learn and like you go through the trenches together and you understand that like you're able to get through this, like whatever you're going through now, you get through it. You're like, if we can get through that, we can get through anything.
Yeah. We're standing up there on the altar together when we were getting married. It was so emotional, not just for the day, but her and I had such a deep emotional moment at that time when we were looking at each other. And it wasn't about getting married at that point. It of course was, but at the same time, it's like, we did all of this. We're here. People are here because of us. We're in this environment because of us. All these people showed up because of us. We made this happen. And whatever we sacrificed to make it happen. And though we don't, like, no one owes us anything, or, vice versa. It's just like, we made this happen. People love us. Our families are here. It would have been much cheaper to just go get eloped, So I hope you guys enjoy this damn party, because, we should have charged you $1,000 a head at the front. And if you're true friends, you're going to pay up.
And I have a feeling you said those exact words.
Yeah, I should have just taken the mic, Catherine. Before we say I do, we're going to pass around.
We're going to pass around the basket.
Yeah, pass around the basket. And it's got QR codes. And I swear if every phone's not chiming in here, then no one's getting up.
Lock the doors.
Yeah, exactly.
Lock the doors.
So we just laugh about that. But it was just that time of like, boy, it was so heavily emotional. And it didn't really hit us until after we, said I do, kissed and walked down the aisle. And then when we got out there together in this courtyard, that's when I started tearing up, because it was just like, man, just having all my closest buddies there and then friends there, and
our families got to be there.
Yeah, and we wanted to have a big wedding just for our family's sake, and her dad's quite a bit older, still very healthy, but we just don't know, and we could have gotten married in 5 years from now and maybe it was a better financial decision. But for us, we're like, I think now would be a good time. We want to start our lives together. We want to do these things, and everything happens for a reason. So we have a lot
And
of
it was
faith in
so
that.
fun.
Yes,
it
and
was like the
very
most fun dance party.
Yeah, it was very
awesome.
fun. And so it just to know that, like, yeah, it was just a great memory, as it should be. But it was also in a heightened time of like anxiety and stress, not because of the wedding, but just life.
Just life and work and all
Yeah.
of the things.
Yeah.
Moving here.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
How do you guys decide if a client is right to work with for Stache House? Because I know
If they
that.
piss her off, that's it.
See ya.
Yeah.
It
'Cause
is
I'm
a
a
constant
bad-
thing.
Uh-huh.
You know, sometimes we've had to say yes to everything, you know, just because we have to take on these projects. I am a bit more unforgiving, actually. Garrett is the one who has to walk me through like the reasons why this is good. I'm just like, no, I don't like them. We're not working with them. This is going to be really difficult, because I'm the one who has to do the communication back and forth. So I'm already like, I already see how this is going to go, you know, 100 emails in and we're not aligned. Thankfully, that doesn't happen often, but it's happened enough sometimes where, you know, we've said yes to every job, and now we're kind of like, okay, we're getting in a good rhythm.
Said yes to the jobs we want to. We don't take every job. That's for sure.
Yes. But I'd say for the most part, we've had to have the conversation where we're like, okay, we just have to like bite the bullet and like do this job. We know that we could do it well. So let's go ahead and move forward, even if it's going to be a little frustrating, which it typically ends up being. And again, not because of the job itself, but sometimes it's the communication, or we're still dealing with that like agency middleman thing. And so there's been a lot of maneuvering, not every project again, but like some of the projects have been that way. And now when we do get a project, we have our process of, we're going to sit down and really think about, one, are they going to actually have the budget to where it's worth it? We know we're going to highly produce this. We need to bring on a minimum of 3 people. Like, can they actually afford this? So we look at those parameters. We look to see if it's authentic. Obviously, like, we could shoot anything technically, but we also want it to align with like what we actually want to do. That's the whole reason why we started our own thing in the first place. So yeah, there's some of those parameters, but
I mean, there's a lot of connotation in like what you pick up in an email, and I'm more of a call guy.
So big call, guys.
She can email and rip you to shreds in the most like formal way possible, whereas me, I could just be like, eat shit sent from iPhone, you know, and which, you know, is more my thing, but she can say it in the most polite, professional way. And so I let her handle a lot of that stuff. But there's been times where we've dealt with clients where it's this misogynistic, like they think she's like my secretary style, where I've almost had to email in and say, listen, man, watch your mouth. This is who's running our company, and also the COO. Say one more thing and we're going to pull the plug on this shit. You guys are fucked, and you've already had deposit. You're not going to get it back. We're not going to do the project. So again, have some respect after she has outlined all this stuff in the email very clearly, what we need to do, what we're asking of you, going over your job, already done your job 20 times for you, can't seem to read, and then outlay it again, and then reattach something else to then have a 2-sentence answer as if it's a text is insane. And that's what pisses me off. And it's like, it's just the level of respect. And so it's been nice to see, like, we've started working with a lot of, and that's very far and few. And then it gets buttoned up quick because we'll just pull the plug. Fuck it. We'll just do something else. And so then they're screwed. So they know that, like, you need to be better at your job. And for us, luckily it's been good because I'd say in the last like 6 to 8 months, it's been slowly delving into, well, I've said before, I want our whole company to just be like a matriarchy where it's just her and her team absolutely crushing stuff and they can demand what they need to. And because to be honest, a lot of production's mainly just guys. Not that it has to be. It just, I don't know why it is. It's just guys. And so I'd like the administration / producing / events and all things that Chelsea wants to be a part of, have her elite team that she wants to control and do and inspire. And so I think that she's slowly moving. I wouldn't say slowly, probably faster now in that direction to start building those things out. And the emails are very different now, and things are starting to come again. Remember, it's that slow burn of like, okay, this isn't a Garrett and his wife. It's their company. We're going to be speaking with Chelsea. She does things formally. This is what we need to do.
In a perfect world, what do you guys think it looks like? Do you have like a team of 3? You have a brand partnerships person under you, and then you have maybe a design person on your side. Like, what does that perfect group of 10 look like in your head?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. There's like a chicken and egg thing as well, because right now I'm mainly consumed by the operational side and like doing all of the contracts, finances, things like that, where I'm really a partnerships person at the end of the day. And I want to be like meeting people every day and like making those relationships, then building those into work. And I feel like if I can turn that on and have a sidekick, if you will, and someone who just loves people, loves, like, she's bopping around the city, she knows everyone, like this really fun personality, like that to me is so exciting to like tag team together. But then at the same time, if we're getting all of those partnerships and sending them over to G and his team, they've got to be able to take those on. And we talk about this a lot because we're actually not in a position to where he can take on any more than what he has. So then I can't go do partnerships, So there's that we have to kind of finesse a little bit and have more people. And it really comes down to Garrett delegating as well and finding people that he can trust, because essentially we need more people who they're hiring us, these brands, because they want Garrett's look. They want how he colors, how he edits. So we can't clone him, right? And that is it's a really unique challenge and place to be right now.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's having a dedicated editor, both video and at some point photo, something. To be honest, my ultimate goal is I'm not touching any camera at all anymore, is how I'd like to be. I would love to empower people to pick up those tools and do the best possible job they can, knowing that that's what I would demand of myself. I still love shooting, and I would love to, have a camera for myself. And I still love to get in there and get my own angles and things that I'm thinking of, filming and all that stuff. But again, not micromanage whatsoever, but let these people come in and just do what they love to do. And that's why I like building out teams. Like we just did this whole production the last 3 days for Leica in their Century event. And had, I was director and then camera op as well, and then had another guy doing camera op, and then had a buddy of mine doing all stills and hero stills in BTS, and another friend of mine doing producing. And so I would like to steadily have 3 to 4 guys who are it's different for me, because production, what's unique is that when I construct these teams, it's specific on the job. You can have a couple of core guys that are going to be in the office who are editing in those things, but then also camera op's different because you can develop chemistry with different guys, and those are different strengths. And then also like, a team that you're going to shoot only beauty stuff with, a team you only want to shoot sports stuff with, a team you're just going to shoot like narrative stuff with, because people have different strengths. And so that's really fun. So I can pull different people in and have fun there. It's not always the same crew, but it's fine to have the same crew. And so, but for her, we need a really steady elite group who we're always working with, because a director of partnerships is obviously going to work heavily with her and me, but mostly her. And then also producer is going to work heavily between us both, because we need even 2 producers, where one is going to be like
on the comms side,
comms admin, all that stuff. And then somebody's going to be in the field. So it's just, it's kind of
fun
one of
to
those
think
things.
about, and I think that we're getting to a place where we're almost ready to, there's so much work that's consistently coming in to where we can start hiring these people on kind of full time. Our pie in the sky idea is to have like our own place, like Stache House, that's actually a physical location where we have our studio there. We're hosting community events, and like we are here for a reason to be ingrained in the community as well. And I think that we're both really passionate about just people, dinners, panels, all of that. It makes part of this like so much fun, and that's really where my heart is in all of this. And so to use Stache House as like a catalyst to bring all of these cool, unique, creative people together is really the dream.
And to add on to that would be, it's 2-story, big enough spot where
He has the whole design already.
Downstairs we have a coffee shop in which you can't come in and work. That's the rule. You come in to meet people, you get coffee, you have like a limit. There's no laptops out because you're there to converse and meet people. It's there for that. You're not there to squat. It's there to get in there, get coffee, get a drink. You're going to maybe meet somebody, then you're out, because we're going to have, art up in the space, going to be very heavily designed out. Then upstairs is our studio and potentially shooting, then also conference rooms, tables, stuff like that. So we do close it down, have host events. We can have a liquor license as well to serve wine and those things at night and just have a safe space for people, but also something that's different. People can go in there and get a coffee and know that you can, because no one's going to just be sitting everywhere lounging all day. And so I think just having a cool, strict policy of that, people are like, I'm probably going to run into somebody there. So anyway, that's,
I think creating a space though that feels safe for people to come and quote unquote network or just connect with other people in the space is like so important. I want to get more into community, but I do want to take it back to Leica and creating relationships with certain brands, because Leica is definitely a dream like brand that I would love to work with it on someday. And you guys have been able to work with some incredible brands. So for like a creative listening to this, if you were to give them a few pieces of advice for like, how do you create these relationships with brands to not only just like be able to work with them once, but to create a relationship to be able to work with them consistently?
So one, I would just, some people are like, oh, how do you, like, from the outside looking in, it looks like we've landed in New York and hit the ground running, but that was also our only option. That's it. It's sink or swim. We're not going to sit here and hang out. We're not trust fund kids. That's what we have to do. And so, but the reason I started working with Leica is walking into the New York store and start shooting the shit with these guys at the front. Everyone's so kind there. That, to be honest, it's ironic because that camera system and that brand is so luxurious. It should welcome the biggest of snobs, right? It's not. Especially after yesterday. I mean, in this Century event, it pulls in all people, walks of life, where everyone is so unique. People have shot their entire life on those cameras. Everyone has so many stories to tell. The community is insane. It's incredible. Given the price point of stuff, it's just like, how? And so I walked into the store, chatting it up, met one person, then the next, then, hey man, you need to meet so-and-so. And then, hey man, I would love to try out the Q343 if possible, if you guys have some system that you guys rent out or whatever that looks like. And he's like, oh, I need to introduce you to this guy. He's going to email you. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, if that's gonna be my point of contact, man, like, hey, let me tell you, like, let's get coffee. I want to chat with you about like what we do. And is there a way to work together in a sense? Like, how is it that you guys work? What's your structure there? If you guys are so much in a community, we are trying to build community. Can we host co-events? Like, is this a space that you guys really want to bring people together? And so one, it's being a person, man, just being a human to human, and there's no ego involved and there's no sales pitch going into it. It's just because it might be a brand that you want to work with doesn't mean that you truly do if you find out who they are, right? That goes across the board. Luckily with Leica, I was like, wow, these guys are great. And so then it turned into the contact I have of just like, hey man, would this be something interested that you guys want to do? This is a Century event. It's a big one, right? I'm not an event production guy. I don't like to do that. To be honest, they're just long days of it's just a bunch of shit you have to film. It's just like a recap, right? For us, I'm like, okay, they also know that. And we sat down and had the idea, say, listen, if Stache House is going to do this, we are going to do it differently. We've got to there's some stuff you guys probably want in there and need in there, but let's make this entertaining. Same thing with Mizuno Golf. I did the same thing with them. It's like, if you guys are going to have a recap, let's build an overarching narrative and film that separately than what's going to happen on the weekend, because we need to have something that's going to tie back to this story at all times. And we don't want to have it too long. Let's make it 4 minutes, 5 minutes video where people are constantly engaged with what this overarching narration is and the scene that we've built out, to then tiptoeing into pieces of the weekend. And then it all going to go back to that narrator at the end. And so just kind of spiderwebbing this out, and how it concludes is very much a thing to sell, because it's a design background, it's ideation, it's campaign, it's storytelling. That's something that's going to be more unique for people to see in the end, and not just a recap video. And if you guys have big budget and that you want to spend, let's make it worth it. So anyway, and then they were hyped on making that happen.
Yeah. And to your question around like how we're getting those clients as well, and like how one can get dream clients, I want to be careful because I know people who don't live in New York or LA, there's people out there who are doing it and finding out how to get in contact with these brands. But at least for us, that is the main reason why we moved here, is we felt like the brands that we love and that we're inspired by are here, so we need to be here. And that definitely proved true, because to G's point, like, he just walked into the Leica store, but that's true for every brand that we love that is our dream client. We can hit them up multiple times, be able to get coffee with them or walk into their shop or whatever that might be. And New York is really the only place where you can do that. And that is why like things happen so quickly here, and we can speed up relationships and building relationships with these brands, because we're not one of 1,000 people in their inbox. We're bothering them in their own place of being, you know?
And we're for real. So it's like, listen, you guys down to meet up or not? Because this is what we want to do. Same thing with like Unfold. They had hit me up about a partnership to create specific things. And then it came into a larger talk where I said, listen, my design is my background. I want to actually do something to this caliber. Are you guys able to do this and like code these things? And right now it's really fun because we're able to kind of push the boundaries, and we have a lot of stuff in the works with them. But to be able to launch a collection inside this app, and the second one's out now, but to have a third one coming, and to go into their office physically and work with their programmers and things like that is very unique, because that's here in New York and Squarespace owns them. And it's just like this, it's a huge company. And so we have ideas to do like community events with them and all this stuff. I mean, it can catch like wildfire depending on how you handle it and how you want to work with people. But yeah, really crazy, but it's boots on the ground, and that's the most important part.
That's awesome. How, if a brand wants to work with you guys, what is the process from A to Z? Like, I call you and I say, hey, I really want to do something with Stache House. I think, let's pretend it's a campaign that's 3 videos, it's out here. Like, what is then the process of going from start to finish?
Sure. I mean, I think that typically it has to be a call from the get-go, unless they're talking about like budgetary stuff, because then it still has to go into a call. Is it going to be complicated? Is it going to be ease of use? Where does this live? Like, we have to collectively get a lot more answers before we can put something together.
So let's say we know all that. We know, you know where it's going to live.
Yep.
They tell you how much money it's going to be. Then what happens in the process?
From that point, it's contract first.
Yeah.
So Chelsea has to outline all that stuff and construct. I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, I'll typically like break down a whole budget on how, you know, we're going to utilize their budget, if it even makes sense, how many crew members we can have, our agency fees, rentals, you name it, like miscellaneous things like travel and stuff.
It's all transparent. We don't just give somebody a quote unless they want to say, hey, what's one number? Then you could, but then we break it all down. There's no secrecy in anything. It's like, this is what this is. Here's the contingency stuff. If this happens, here's this. It could go, this is the minimum. And so that's always what it is. This is a minimum. And then if you guys wanted to do this times 4, that's what that would cost. But we're very transparent with that. Just like, this is what it is. And someone would be like, oh, that's really high, or that's okay.
But we try and couple that with like, yes, some type of contract or LOI from the beginning that just shows like, look, here's how we're going to approach this. We're going to do, you know, X, Y, and Z. We're going to have payment by this date. We need a deposit. And we're just really upfront and very, very strict with that stuff. One, to save us, and also make sure that whoever we're bringing on feels solid about it. They know what the plan is. They know that they're going to get paid. And we're all like aware of this from the get-go. And that has only come from like doing it incorrectly a couple of times. But we got our like process down. And once we can do that, and that takes about a week or 2 sometimes with a brand, cool. Now we're rocking and rolling, and then we can start to actually go into the fun stuff.
Yeah, and the narratives and like the Milanote, breaking down what that looks like, different inspirations, what they're going for, outlining all that stuff, and then I'll pre-pro and go into production.
What's been the most surprising thing of work? You know, you don't have to name a brand, but just working with any of these brands throughout your time. Like, and for me, when I left, I think the biggest thing that I realized was some of these massive brands, these billion-dollar companies, have no idea what they're doing. And it was very shocking for me to kind of know, like, this process that I thought this billion-dollar company would have, or these huge brands, maybe ceases to exist, and we almost have to teach them, like, hey, this is if we want to do this together for us to be successful, like, this is how
Yeah.
we need to be operating. And I found that to be a little shocking. And I'm wondering kind of if you guys have a similar learning or something that you found out from working with brands.
I would say 80% of every client is that exact issue. I wouldn't say it's an issue. I think it's just a way of educating. It's also antiquated in a lot of ways they've worked. So it is up to this upcoming generation and us to help evolve that process, because they don't know what they don't know.
Exactly. It's been the same way. It's been the same way. They're like,
Yeah.
we've done it this way for 40 years. Or even in your instance, you were talking about the big agencies. It's like, I don't want to go through these big conglomerates. We want to be your buddy and like be a partner for you guys. You can text me if you need something and we can figure it out,
Yeah. I think it's just, educating and just saying like, okay, this is where they're coming from. This is where we need to go. And so, I think there's an issue there with just a lot of the bigger brands obviously had less money, and sometimes smaller brands have more money, but then a lot of times it is a bigger brand. They have massive budgets and they're just trying to figure out the best possible way to allocate those things. And sometimes it works in your favor, and other times you're like, it just does not make any sense.
Yeah, and I would also say that a lot of these larger brands have people running marketing who, they've been doing this for a very, very long time. So amazing to them. But the issue is that these are people who have these marketing backgrounds, but all marketing now revolves around content and social. But that there's a gap and like a huge divide. And transparently, like these people they're not fully understanding. I'm a firm believer that unless you know how to shoot or have ever picked up a camera or have some type of even minimal like idea of how this production side should work, you should not be running a campaign that involves content at all.
Yeah.
The things that you're asking everyone to do, the fact that you've scheduled a shoot at noon and stuff like that, just like little things where I'm like, this person does not
qualified.
You lose some respect from, the people who are sitting around who are holding the cameras, and you're like, okay, well, it is what it is. But
yeah, I think there's just a massive reach in hiring people right now where there's such low level word of like social media manager, but they're also expecting them to film, create stuff, model, produce, do all this stuff. And these people just aren't qualified for it. And there's some people who are very advantageous who can do a lot of that stuff, but they're not going to be paid for that. And so it's a bummer to see that happen. But so many people, it's like, just because you are on social media doesn't mean you're good at it. Just because you have an Instagram doesn't mean you know how to curate, or a Pinterest or things like that. There's people who have an eye for design and art and color schemes and stuff like that can only be learned and taught. Like, you have an eye for it or you don't. And there's just so many people who are unqualified in all aspects of this creative industry, especially large agencies. There's a ton of dead weight, right? So I think it's, to your point, just educating and trying to shift the narrative a bit. And that's the whole reason we started this.
I'd love to stay on financial stuff for a little bit. I would love to know what you guys charge percentage-wise as like your agency fee to take profit. And then I'd also like to know why you guys feel like so many creatives struggle with pricing themselves, and like what's maybe something that you guys learned later on in your careers about pricing creative work. Because I think a lot of people are just like, $1,500 for a shoot or something, but you're saying like it's all itemized and you guys are way more specific and think about all the little nuances that come with different shoots.
We charge more than a lot of people probably.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that, because a camera op might charge $900. We're going to charge $1,500 or $2,000. I know they're going to be out there all day, busting their ass, doing specific stuff, wearing multiple hats. I think they should be awarded for that, not bare minimum. We're going to also charge this amount because we're also going to have the level from here to here. I think people should be awarded for that. And so I also know that if I'm going to be reaching out on behalf of Stache House and I want to construct a crew, those guys will drop other jobs to now work with me because they know that the money will be worth it. It will be in check. We'll have fun and we'll execute and they'll get paid.
Yeah.
So we want to develop that reputation to that we're not gouging. It's just, we're going to charge more. We're going to pay our crew more. That just is what it is. And it's not me taking more money. We're healthily taking what we need to take and having that production fee and having fees for taxes to then hold back for the agency, and just trying to formulate the healthy way moving forward. And Chelsea can talk more on that.
Yeah, I think, again, like back to that transparent, itemized list, like once a brand does see it, they've never questioned it. They've always been like, cool, got it. Like, thank you for actually explaining this, because we're not just charging like a day rate and then it encompasses everything.
Yep.
We break it down pre-production, production, post-production, because you should be getting paid for every step. If you're going to be putting hours and time and effort into the creative process and thinking of what it should be, you should get paid for that. And then you have day of, like you're on set all day. So you have your day rate, and then post, like editing, coloring. If you're going to be at your desk for 10 hours, 15 hours, whatever that might be, you should get paid for that. And different people come in at different steps. And so we just lay it all out there. And I think that is so important. One, to educate brands on and make sure that they're thinking of those things as well. It just helps and allows everyone to move and groove like more seamlessly. Everyone is feeling good about like the work that they're actually doing, instead of creatives feeling like, man, I'm just like, this is sucking right now. Like I've put so much time and effort, and now I'm at my desk editing this and having to go back and forth. We also only allow one round of very minor edits. We don't do revisions, and are very upfront with that. And then, we have 10% on top of that, because as a business, we are responsible for certain taxes and things like that, and that shouldn't come out of our rate.
Yeah. So we try to be very diligent about that stuff. And quickly, you're not going to be able to bill for different hours of editing, right? Like we'll have a specific set rate. And we've only come up with the numbers that we charge only based on asking a lot of people I trust here what they charge, and then getting a good idea, like, okay, how much does Gaff and Grip take? Like, what is their rate of a really good guy? Okay. And then what's typically within the rental scheme of that? Then also if there is going to be hair and makeup, or if there is this and that, it's like, okay, this is like a general scope and idea, or like someone who's going to be an AC or focus puller, like what is their highest rate possible? Then who's some people that you now work with? So you kind of have to like, it's a lot of trial and error and gauging, and you're going to we've probably eaten a lot of costs since we've moved here, but we're slowly but surely recouping and understanding. Should have charged more for that. Should have put in budget for Ubers for the crew, because they're all coming from different locations. We're not going to have a crew van, because the subways aren't going to be doable because they have so much gear. They need to get here and here.
We're finding that out.
Yeah. So like, okay, we need to figure that part out. Didn't do that. So now we need to do it next time. It's just something to think about. You just don't know until you know. And so it's all broken down. And I think that's been so good for us to then understand of like, damn, I'm glad we did charge a lot on that part, because that's going to recoup because we did it on this part. Or I'm just going to eat the cost and all this editing because this took me 50 hours when I thought it was going to take me 10. So I've learned more the hard way than the easy way.
Could you tell me about taxes really quick? Because I remember when I first started.
Because I haven't paid.
Yeah, we just don't pay. I don't pay those. Yeah.
No, I remember when I first started the business, my cousin was like, he owns an ad agency, and he's like, you got to charge 2.8 for insurance and tack it on, and then figure out what's your production fee going to be. Is it 15%? Are you guys going to be at 20? Are you going to be really expensive and 25 or even 30%? Tell me about this taxes fee that is in this breakdown, because I had no idea about the insurance thing eventually, and I feel like a lot of people aren't even thinking about that line item. So how do you kind of configure that out? Is it a percentage of every job? What does that look like?
It's just a percentage of every job, and trying to build out a bucket, if you will, and like a savings. So that way, when we get to tax season every year, not just like, okay, time to pay 40 grand, and you're like, damn, we should have been saving all along. And
feel that.
That is like, and in New York, you have not only state tax, but you have New York City tax, and that's like a whole other, I think it's like 13% or something. And so
do you just stick on a New York City tax?
We should, honestly.
Yeah. If people had to pay all the shit we do, it's like they'd see a whole different part of post-production. It's like, why did the number go from like here to what is happening? It's like an Airbnb. It's like cleaning fee. It's like multiple people fee. It's like firewood replacement fee. It's like, what is happening? What is all this?
We looked at the Uber ride. Braden was like, you gotta look at this breakdown. It's like 17 different things.
Yeah, with all the fees and like the
you went down the street,
the terminal costs and like tunnel costs now and like all that stuff.
Yeah,
we typically have like you could range. And some people we try to, if it's multiple project based down, we'll drop the production fee from 20 to 15 or stuff like that. And we still have our tax, so we're trying to cover all of our bases. But if you have bigger jobs than multiple client, you still have your must-haves and fees, and then other stuff. Sometimes we try to bundle, just knowing that we've secured bigger budgets with them, and try to help play ball and help them out, because they've not utilized us for stuff. And it's not giving anything away. It's just trying to be good brand partners.
Being good. I mean, we're in the people
Yeah,
business.
you just want to be like, okay, cool. And then that's very transparent because they know that like, hey, thanks a ton. That's great. That'll help squeeze some budget here. That's, so we're human. We're trying to make sure that we're not, complete assholes.
What do you feel like most creatives get wrong in charging?
Like doing all this shit for nothing. Yeah, it's this whole generation of these kids who don't have anything to lose, who are incredibly talented, who have done the YouTube University and grinded their asses off on just like learning, who do incredible work and charge nothing. Because all these companies now have someone's younger brother's cousin who then boys are out there and they'll get a whole crew together for $1,000 and they'll bang something out that actually is pretty decent. Where now somebody who could do it probably quite a bit better, but not enough for people to super notice for $15,000 more. And it's everyone shooting themselves in the foot.
And also my biggest pet peeve of all, it's a term that people use, right?
Run and gun.
Run and gun. Man, I hate this so bad when people say this. Then, we talk about the production side. They want everything involved, like super cinematic, really dynamic. And they're like, but, here's our budget. And we're just thinking we can run and gun it, around this, like no permits, just like even, fucking have a gimbal out there on your iPhone instead.
So like, yeah, we're trying to get nimble and say, y'all gonna run when we get the gun because this is so insane.
I hate this term.
It's so overused.
So
and that,
much.
to be honest, is a huge red flag.
Yeah.
And could honestly stop a production for us. And we're like, wait, what did you say at the end? For real. Because it's like, just to be clear, that's not how we're going to operate. Another thing too, it's really funny. We've had 2 big calls with people where we've had multiple meetings, bigger, larger budget talks. And then at the end of the call that then has derailed the entire thing, we've never heard from him again, is everything sounds good. And then it's in the last 10 seconds of the call. It could be a 2-hour talk. The last 10 seconds, it's, or like maybe I can stand in and model, or like, we all get y'all a membership or something. And yeah, we'll just all chat. And it's like, I'm sorry. What did you just say? This is all for real. We don't need you standing in for anything. And then also we don't need memberships, of course, would be an obvious no brainer, but all the other stuff we talk, it's like, and then sure enough, it's like,
then they ghost us.
Yep. And then it's like all good, but it's like,
it's hilarious.
It just let me know your priorities in. It's like, if we can't do everything you just said, like I'll get in from the camera, it'll be sick. And it's like, no.
Garrett, you told me a story one time that is absolutely hilarious. There was a client that came to you and they said, like, you quoted everything out for them. And they said, why does it cost that much? We have someone who can do it for like 1/4 of the price. And you then said, great, you can go do it with them, give them your money. And then you're going to come back to us when it doesn't work out with them. And you're just going to pay their fee plus ours. Yes. Can you share that story?
I didn't put it as nicely as that.
That's a really lovely
that would have been
way
really
of
great.
saying.
Yeah. It's hard for me to wear. Boy, Chelsea is so good at a good poker face. I feel like I'm really good when I tell jokes or mess with people. I can have a good poker face. If I'm annoyed, well, I don't know. Sometimes she'll have good face, but on a work call, if it's Chelsea can kind of like hide her emotions. For me, I'll just be like, I'm just like,
or he's like, oh.
Yeah, I'm just like, this is insane. So anyway, what had happened is it's twofold. The client said, hey, can you get us a bid for all the stuff? We're going to go with you guys. So this is awesome. Because initially they were like, we're trying to gather up and see which the best agency or partners to work with for this thing. Can you get us everything we need? And I said, yeah, of course. So basically on a project bid. We hadn't heard from them because we're still trying to figure out a bunch of stuff. And he said, no, this is all awesome. We're going to go with you guys. Please just give us a bid for this and we'll get ready to rock on the project. Again, transparently laid it all out. This is what it'd be. If we want to do multiple versions of this, just ×3 at the minimum, could be more. We might be able to save on specific stuff depending if you guys needed drone work or, blah, blah, blah. Or if it's no talent, that obviously that fee goes away and all that stuff. So they're like, okay, sweet. Get an email back. And they're like, no, on the call. This is just live on the call. And they're like, hey, so we just wanted to run this by. Like, we got your quote. All things sound great. Thank you so much for laying it all out. We also had another quote that was significantly less than, we'll say 1/4 of what you guys will charge. We just wanted to see, like, basically why that is or what we would get more for yours. And I'm like, what a dumbass question. Ours is obviously very much laid out. You guys reached out to me to text and try to call me to be like, we need to work with you and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, I gave you the whole point. And like, we've had just pre-production calls and the narratives you want to tell and all this stuff. It's like, what do you mean? What else are you going to get? Like, you'll find out. I don't know what to tell you. I can only tell you so much. And so that's what I'm thinking in my head immediately. We're just like, what? And then I was also like, I didn't know that we were competing with someone else still. You guys said you wanted to work with us. So now you're like, you have a different person. It was like, and so I said, well, this is my first straight answer. And I said, well, once you guys donate that $9,000 to whoever the hell told you that's what it was going to cost, then you're going to have to come back to us and it's still going to cost the same amount. Then we'll do it right. Chelsea was sitting next to me and squeezed my leg underneath the thing and basically just like, why did you say that? And I'll never forget, the guy on the call was like,
he said, fair enough.
He was like, fair. He was laughing, like kind of like, I mean,
like maybe he was asked, you know, sometimes these people are put in really uncomfortable positions and they get it, but they're just trying to pass along information. And Garrett's like, what the hell? This guy's an idiot.
I'm like, and I don't know if it's like, did you guys need to have a live recording of the reaction to like give to your boss? I have no idea, but I thought you were the boss. You're the creative director. You're the ones dealing with you, and you guys have head of product next to you. And these two guys told them straight up. So once you donate to whoever that is, then we'll come. I don't know what you said to the other crew. I don't know. Are they doing a part of this? Are they doing the whole thing? If so, they shot themselves in the foot. I don't know what to tell you. But we have different way we roll here. So we have a whole team.
I just love that you guys aren't afraid to be expensive and you lean into that. And I think a lot of creatives often think if they charge a certain amount, they might price themselves out of work because they're like, I'm going to come off as too expensive. If I come in a little bit less than like what people are typically charging, I'll be the cheaper option and a brand will select me. But I love that you guys lean into being like, no, we're really good at what we do. And there's a premium price that comes with that.
It's the truth though, because even when my co-founder was at 72 and Sunny, he was a producer, he said that they would get like 5 bids or 3 bids, and if it was the cheapest one, they would immediately be like, get them out of there. Yeah, they're significantly cheaper. It'd be like, these two are next to each other and there's this third one, they'd be like, just get them out, don't even look at it, because it came in way cheaper. And they're like, we're not going for something cheap. Like they don't, big brands don't want to, I mean, sometimes they have low budgets, but like, if there's these two big guns and then this one's like $5,000, they're like,
well, we recently too were at the finish line of this deal with this. I won't say their name. This like, I just won't say it because it'll narrow it down. But we have all these calls. Everything's looking good. We're trying to plan out when we're going to be doing these specific shoots, and it was something that was going to be awesome in our portfolio, and it was something very different and diverse. I was like, okay, great. I've been wanting to do something in this world, and we're having a call with them. They said, cool. Can you bid out like what one of these shoots would do? And I said, you guys would probably realistically need to do like 3 of these. It's sounding like you have content needs and stories that you need to get told to launch this new product from this, and this. That's like what you need. And they were like, yes, that is stuff we need. Then we can get into, a bank of that and then go into stuff we want to do. I said, okay, cool. This is kind of what it would cost. Cause then we could also we'll have behind the scenes clips to go with your social launch and commercial launch, hero shots, BTS assets, then the actual hero videos, all lumped into the same thing. Even if you're only asking for video, while we're in that space, we would still do the other things because it's already going to be set up. Like, why not? It's going to be an awesome bang for your buck. We're going to have people there. It'll be great. They're like, yeah, that sounds great.
And they gave us a budget to work within. Remember, they said, this is how much we have. Because sometimes we ask that as well. So then we made it.
Oh, no, that came second. Okay. So the first part was just like, what is it going to be? So say it's like 40 grand for these 4 type of shoots that you guys need. And they're like, let's hop on another call. Let's chat through everything. I'm like, okay, great. Talk to it. And they're basically like, this is significantly more than we thought it would cost. Can you explain? Like I said, again, it's transparently all written out for you, man. I don't know how to tell you this. And they're like, okay, yeah, it all makes sense. I'm like, it makes sense now because you're only reading it, or it makes sense because I told you to read it? I don't know. And so they're like, okay, well, what if we just did one of the shoots? Sick. Divide it by 4. That's what that will cost. And then they're like, okay, maybe we just do the one. That's totally fine. All good. Yeah. Then, okay, if we're only going to do the one, We told them very clearly, if this is the budget you have, let's creatively work within that and we'll make sure we nail it. Just be transparent. We were very transparent with you. We didn't want to scare you away or didn't want to tell you anything. And they're like, okay, sweet. Come back with another email and they're like, we just figured it would be like, maybe like, so say that one shoot was 10 grand. We just figured we did like, can we do it for 5? Doug, this is the staple in which we're going by. We went from this to now this. No. Like but you just wasted your own time. They needed these assets within 2 weeks from that last call, and we were gonna start scheduling out shoots to make sure we were gonna kind of go to bat for them and get all that shit done in time. And it's like, you guys now wasted your entire time. Hope you might get fired now, and if so, hope you learned a lesson that you just like. Why didn't you say that from the get-go? Because we also told them that I was like, you know what? If it's not us doing all the production, then maybe it's just me showing up and shooting and you guys use your cousin's brother's internal team, whatever you guys need to make it work. Because people have to get crafty. If they're like, hey, listen, we'll in-house do a bunch of that stuff. We'll light it. We'll whatever we need to do to save money. And then you just come shoot. That's fine too. There's my day rate. But like, they didn't even want to try to navigate what that looked like. And then that was it.
It was really bizarre.
Man, it pissed me off. I was so just annoyed. We were on a flight and I was like, oh man, I'm like, what a waste of time. That just drove me nuts. So it isn't always,
we can tell you're over it though.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I ever saw him, I'd just flip him off.
But I do think, like, to your point of where, maybe creatives are nervous to overcharge and potentially like not get a brand. Okay, then I think you have to be able to be okay with that, because if you're going to like charge a certain amount, even if it is considered expensive, you better be like confident through and through. Like, we might be more expensive, but then when we get on a call, we can lay it out for you. Like, we can give you the answers that you need. If we hopped on a call and we were like, oh, I don't know, we just thought maybe that was right. That would never work. And so I feel like if you're going to do it, just like be able to back it up, like why you charge this, you're taking care of this XYZ. And, then people buy into that confidence too. They're like, okay, cool, got it. Like, that's great.
What's been the biggest win over this last year for you both?
I think not even work-wise. We've done really, really well with work and I feel very blessed. But just her and I's relationship, just learning how to ebb and flow. And if she's in a bad mood and I'm in a good one, I cheer her up. If I'm in a bad mood and she's in a good one, she can cheer me up. And we just go to bat for each other. And we've just developed so much grace with each other. And that's been the biggest win for me, is to make sure that my wife is very happy and loved. And if she's down, I need to pick her up. If there's slack, I need to take it. Even if I feel like I'm stretched thin, it's my job to do that. And she's done the same for me. And so I think just more of like a human to human kind of level, I feel like it's been our biggest win. But work-wise, I'd say Mizuno Golf has been a really big client of ours and an amazing new addition to problem solving. Again, they have no team. There's like 2 people. They need 20. And so trying to help them build from the ground up has also been frustrating, but also exciting, and changing the narrative of what golf content can be. And we're now starting to get in talks of like, okay, now we're going to start doing campaigns, and how are we going to do it differently? Because Titleist, Callaway, they all look the same. And it's all who has much money and who has the most toys and who does all the dope shit. Let's start going story narrative vibes. And people can be like, wow, that was a sick ass ad and that looks so simple. I've never seen anything like that. Every other brand does the same thing. So now we're starting to get in that world, and their busy months are also January, February. So now we've now closed
Sounds like
that.
a win-win.
Exactly. We've now closed that gap, because I know that, sweet, now I can prep and know that January, February, we can take time off if we need to. We also know it's going to be busy, but they're also busy throughout the entire year. It's just, those are big times for them. So
yeah. I was going to say my favorite stuff is not even on like the production or the brand strategy side, but I really think it is so fascinating that we can be creative and have different forms of like income, streams of income, I guess. And that is because of tangible products like Garrett's filters with Polar Pro, stuff like that, the workshops and whatnot with Develop, and like all of these additional things that are really creative and really fun to talk about. But having tangible products to me is really exciting. And I think the filters, like, they've been amazing and just like fun to be a part of, fun to launch, like fun to create something new that isn't only production stuff.
We have new ones coming out as well. That'll be at the end of the year.
I have a question for Chelsea. Was there something that you were able to take from working in tech to bring it into a more creative agency, that like something you learned from working in tech that you've been able to bring into Stache House?
Yeah, I can go on and on, but I think the biggest thing I learned in tech is honestly like how a machine works. And this is applicable to any business, but that you should not be the smartest person in the room. And you, in order to be like a killer, you need to know how to assemble the right teams. So like in tech, having an incredible marketing person, product marketing person, the right engineer, like knowing how to speak everyone's language and communicate to everyone in order to get a job done is how you succeed. Even if like you had a shitty product, honestly, like you can get really far if you know how to do that. And being now with Stache House and everything that we do, there's so many languages that like I need to speak on the production side, the communication side, the like operation finance side. And I think that we're able to like have it move really well as that well-oiled machine because we have assembled all of the right people.
I also think she's just getting started too. So she's really going to hit her groove here soon. And then all of that will be very applicable when she has her own team and a lot of other things. So she's already done so much now. It's like, I can imagine when she's, in her prime in that zone where she feels like she can walk away as well and not do anything.
In the beginning of like my career though too, I was really like stubborn and felt like I had to do everything in order to prove like I need to be in this room. Like I deserve to be in this room. I'm smart enough to be here, and felt really nervous to let anything go. It's just like a thing that you learn like in your 20s, honestly. And now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, I don't really care. I could be the cool like cucumber in the room and just
let
like
me tell people to fuck
let
off.
other people shine, and that is just great by me. So
I can't wait to see where the brand is at a year from now. I'm super stoked to be out here in July, and maybe, who knows, we'll maybe work on something that could be kind of fun.
Yeah.
I would love to run this back again in like a year, like every
God,
year.
every year
Yearly
we check
check-in.
in. There's like 20 people in front of us.
I might have a full gray hair, like full head of gray hair.
Do you have any advice for that? Mine are coming in.
Oh man, I've just already salt and pepper,
Fuck
and
yeah.
they'll be probably all
Love
gray
it.
by that time.
You rock it, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the 505 podcast. If you want us to keep traveling, let us know down below. This has been the New York City episodes, and we'll see you all next week. Peace.